If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror. We'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
Welcome to another episode of One on One with Culture Shock's interview-only podcast. I am your host, editor-in-chief of Kultureshock.com, Chris Stachiw. This week, we talked to Kristin Rakes. She worked on the most recent season of American Horror Story Roanoke as the dastardly Nurse Bridget. As well, later this year, she is in Gold as Carissa opposite Matthew McConaughey and in The Space Between Us opposite Gary Oldman. I spoke with her about those films, along with our shared interest of a little TV show you may have heard of called The X-Files. So, please enjoy the interview. Most recently, you portrayed Nurse Bridget on the most recent season of American Horror Story Roanoke. How did you get involved with the project, and had you watched American Horror Story prior to being in it?
There's nothing glamorous about how I got involved. I just had an audition and somehow booked it. It was pretty surprising to me. So that was pretty cool. I had not watched American Horror Story before that because I was just a big scaredy cat. So when I found out about it, I went back and watched I think about 4 of the seasons and really fell in love with it in spite of myself, in spite of my scaredy catness. So it was just that much more exciting to then be involved. I mean, I was excited when I first heard, but because I knew of the nature of the show, but then actually watching it was really great.
On the show, you play Nurse Bridget. What's it kind of like working with everyone on the show and being kind of part of the new season of American Horror Story?
I don't think it could be much cooler than it is. I mean, it's one of the, you never really know what you're going to get when you go to set. And this was definitely a kind of a dream situation, especially with just all the people that you're working with. And you don't really, because everything is so secret on the show, that's another, it's like an element of surprise all the time with what's going to happen that any given day, because we wouldn't have our scripts in advance. And so that made it really fun and kind of nerve-wracking at the same time.
And so on the show, who have you kind of worked with the most?
Definitely the other nurse, who is Maya Burko, and she's so wonderful, and we just love each other to pieces, which is, I think it was really important to us to do that because of the nature of our characters. So that's been really great. And then we've just gotten to, work with Cuba a little bit, who is just as wonderful and funny as I ever would have dreamed. And Angela Bassett some and Sarah Paulson. And the thing about it that was really fun for me is I loved The People versus OJ. I was a fan of that show. I mean, it's like the first show I ever bought on iTunes, which I just don't usually do. But when we watched the first episode, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so into this. So for me getting to then, and that was, however many months ago, six months ago, And then to go from that to all of a sudden getting to work with two of the main people from that show was pretty cool. And especially because I just thought it was the funniest thing that they go from playing Marcia Clark and O.J. Simpson to a married couple. I just like, that's the genius of Ryan Murphy, I'm sure. It's just like such a funny thing to me.
Right. Did you get to work with Ryan Murphy at all?
No, he's like the man behind the curtain. I love to meet him, but that hasn't quite happened yet.
Yeah, he seems to kind of be the proverbial puppet master, as it were. I mean, he seems like a very busy man, you know, American Horror Story, American Crime Story, kind of just always, you know, he's becoming the new Shonda Rhimes.
He really is. And I love his stuff. I mean, I was really a big fan of Glee and, you know, just had a lot. And like I said, an American Crime Story. So like this coming up was like, whoa, that's pretty huge.
Right. I mean, the thing that I really like, and I still watch it probably once every couple years, is Nip Tuck.
Yeah.
Which kind of gets lost in the wayside with his more recent stuff, especially post Glee. So
yeah. I mean, Glee was like really, I think, sent him up into the stratosphere. But yeah, I've never watched Nip Tuck, but I know that a lot of people really love that show.
Yeah, they're like 6 seasons. Yeah, 6. So I mean, still, you know, relatively long show. So you've gotten to work a little bit with Sarah Paulson, a little bit with Cuba Gooding Jr.
And Sarah's just like somebody I respect so incredibly much. I just have every ounce of respect for her, especially making Marcia Clark somebody that we all sympathize with. I mean, that is like really awesome because I think Marcia's never been understood. So, you know, I just love that about her.
And what was it like working with them on the show and kind of getting to interact with them a little bit?
I think just, you know, whenever you work with people like that, you get a sense of how their level of dedication to what they're doing, and it's really inspiring. And I just love that because they can just really pull you into a scene with them. And, you know, our interactions with them, it's not super, you know, you never know who's existing on what plane of reality or whatever. So it's not like super intimate per se, but just kind of watching them do their thing in between, you know, our shots is it's pretty inspiring. Yeah,
Ryan Murphy has kind of given Sarah Paulson this career resurgence,
which praise God because she deserves it. She's just I can't say strongly enough how much I respect her.
Among the cast and working on the show, is everyone just kind of like, oh, I'm so thankful to be here. This is such a great experience.
I think it's the really cool thing is just that when you go there, it's like I just really feel like every member of the crew is top notch at whatever they're doing, and it really just that kind of environment where everybody is so awesome. It elevates the level that you want to get to yourself. I mean, not that you ever want to not give your all, but it's just even more there. And it's not intimidating at the same time, which is really cool because I thought, oh man, this could be like really intimidating, but not at all. They're just like, people are there doing their thing and doing the best work that they can, which is quite phenomenal. I mean, just like walking on the set the first time of the house, I was shocked by the level of detail in it. You know, it's just everything. The details are all there and beautifully put together.
And, you know, you mentioned the set a little bit, obviously the newest season, because the show is a season-based anthology show. Yes. This year is a farmhouse in Roanoke, North Carolina that's haunted and all sorts of craziness is going on because, of course, it is American Horror Story. What's it like shooting on that set?
It's so fantastic. I am such a history buff, or like I want to be a history buff, I should say. And so it was weird walking onto the set the first time because you get the feeling that this house is from the 1700s because everything looks authentic and looks right. But then you think, oh gosh, this was built like, I don't know when. So it's like there's a sense of like weird history there. And I love that they're dealing with the whole Roanoke thing.
Right.
I didn't actually know that when we were shooting. I knew so very little, so that was like a really fun surprise for me. And I don't know. I love the setting of it, and there's weird things in the house. Like there's these pegs all along the wall, which I've always meant to look up to see if that was actually like a thing that they did. And you can hang candles, you know, at different intervals throughout the hallways. And I just thought that was the coolest piece of whatever. And then sometimes there'd be chairs hanging on them. So I'm really curious to know if that was actually an architectural design element from back whenever.
Yeah, when they mentioned that they were doing a season based off Roanoke, I am a fellow history buff, and it was, that's one of the things that they always kind of talk about in school, and then they never. It's kind of and who knows. So to hear them like they're doing a season about it and maybe what happened, that to me was super exciting as well. Yeah,
especially for that show to tackle it, because they're going to tackle it well.
Yeah. That's for sure. They're gonna. Yeah. They'll do something interesting. It might not be what you expect, but they're gonna do.
Well, hopefully it's not. I mean, like I didn't realize the whole bit about it's set up so it's like documentary style, sort of, with interviews and stuff. I didn't know about any of that when we were shooting. I didn't realize that. So that was like a fun surprise for me. I love that I get to, because I don't know anything, I still get to be a fan and experience things for the first time.
And you mentioned the secrecy involved in being on American Horror Story. Is that something you've experienced in the past working in film?
Not to this level. I would get so paranoid that like somehow I'd actually accidentally taken something that was in my purse and it fell out, because I'm just so paranoid. But thank God that didn't happen. So I was always like, just make sure you have nothing. You're not leaving with anything on your person every time I left work.
Right. But you'd never experienced it to this degree before.
No, I mean, like I've auditioned for, things like Marvel movies, they're always trying to keep really quiet. You're getting dummy scripts that have nothing to do with it and signing NDAs and all, which makes me super paranoid. I love it though. I mean, like for me personally, like I'm really a huge X-Files fan. So when they were going to do the new season, like I don't read anything about what's going on beforehand, because I love being surprised. I've gotten to the point where I don't even really watch trailers that much anymore for things, because I just so enjoy taking it in as it comes. I don't quite understand why people want to spoil things for themselves, but to each his own, I guess.
Some people just do.
Yeah.
As a fellow fan of the X-Files, I kind of wish the new season had been spoiled for me. So that's just my personal opinion.
I understand. I do understand that. One of the main writers and producers on American Horror Story, James Wong, is, he worked on the first couple seasons of the X-Files, and he did my favorite episode from the new season. So he got an earful from me about how much I adored him. We were on set.
Yeah, I think there's like one or two good episodes in the new season, but overall, the changes they made to like the story really, as a fan of like the original series, it's like I get it that they're trying to make it new for people that had never watched it before, but for people that have been sticking with it for as long as some of us have, it's like, oh brother.
Well, I think the funny thing is like it's so in my blood. I mean, I can't even the things that I would still muse about, up until this last season and still now. I don't know what other show has ever done that for me. Like I'm still thinking about like, what does that thing mean? What was going on there? And that's pretty amazing. And I totally understand what you're saying. I think the second episode of this last season answered some questions and sort of like, to me it was, and that was the one that James Wong did. It gave us a glimpse into some things that we really wanted to see. But yeah, there were other things that I was just like, that's interesting.
Like ending the season on a cliffhanger with an assumption that another season is going to happen.
It was like, I don't know, 8:58 or something, and they're on that bridge, and I'm like, oh no, you're not. Oh no, you're not going to do this to me. You are doing this to me. You're totally doing this to me. I don't know why I thought you wouldn't, but you're doing this to me. Okay, well, I'm just going to pretend like this isn't happening right now.
The 9th season of the show wasn't the best.
Right.
David Duchovny had not been involved as much from like season 8 and 9, but at least it ended. And now it's like this whole thing's up in the air. We are getting more. They keep saying, are we, aren't we, are we, aren't we? They haven't really said yet. So it's just like, oh God, why?
If I had my druthers, as much as I would love to, I was dying to get a role on the new season. I think I would actually prefer to be like some sort of creative consultant to like a representative of the fan base to say, here's what we love and the things that we want to talk about, and maybe address some of these things and make sure that Skinner is there, because I need Skinner as much as I need the other two. Which I love that he was in the last season. If they hadn't brought him back, there's like so many things that I would love to see more of.
I felt like they gilded the lily a little bit by bringing back the cigarette smoking man.
That was an interesting choice.
I mean, I get it. William B. Davis is still alive. He's still acting, so
use him.
Yeah, but I mean, his character's dead. Well, was not anymore. Who knows? They explained it away with like a couple lines of dialogue, and then Reyes showed up, so that was.
I know.
And she was in cahoots with him the whole time.
Of course she was. Of course she was.
Yeah.
Doggett wouldn't have put up with that. Let me tell you. No, sir, he would not have.
Yeah. It's the X-Files is such just like a lightning rod for so many people that I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a show, I love it, but the new season really, I think, polarized the fan base a little bit.
It's funny that I'm sure that some people don't consider it canon at this point.
Right. Well, I mean, for a while there, they had a comic book, season 10.
Oh, really?
So I want to say maybe 2 years ago, one of the big 3 comic book printers came out with X-Files season 10. And it was like the 10th season of the show in comic book form, and it was really good.
I got to check that out. I have not done that. I mean, I've read some fan fiction, but some, reading through that is tough.
Yeah. But no, it came out and it was really well done. And then there were like new season of the X-Files, like, oh boy, here we go. Where is this going? So it's just always funny to hear why that happened. The new season of the show came about because of how well it was doing on Netflix.
Oh, really? I didn't realize
so
that.
Like it was like one of the most watched things on Netflix. And so like that struck Fox as like, well, maybe this is like perfect time to kind of bring the show back, because it was like, I think it's probably still one of the most watched television things on Netflix. But that was what I had heard was like, one of the was one of like the big reasons why it came back was because of how much people were just like watching it constantly on Netflix.
That's really interesting. I'm glad that I had an effect on that. That's all I do. There's like 5 that I've seen probably 15 times, and the rest of them is like 3.
Well, again, some of the later seasons are rough to watch. They're not. They just kind of gave up, is what it feels like. Some of the later episodes of the show, unfortunately. But, you could have season 11 of the show, or whatever they're calling these mini seasons. Who knows? That could happen.
Well, I think part of the problem, too, is like 6 episodes just wasn't enough.
Right.
I'm sorry, it just wasn't. So we had so many more things to work through.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is they were like, well, we don't want to do a full season of the show as Gillian Anderson does Hannibal and David Duchovny
Right, they're busy. I totally get that.
Yeah, I think that's what all of us fans of the X-Files want, just more X-Files, but more like season 1 through 6, not season 7 through 9.
Right.
So,
I mean, I love 7 too, but 8 I love if I'm feeling like angsty and I want to cry with Scully. Then I'll watch some 8. I will get down with that and we'll just cry together. But yeah.
They took my baby.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
I have to get rid of my baby. Season 8. I love the whole show, but season 6 is kind of where the main story stopped for me, and they just kind of started doing their stuff.
Yeah.
When they rounded up all the people and burned them in the hangar, was like, all right.
Like, okay, well, there we go. I guess that problem's solved.
But, like you said, kind of coming back to American Horror Story has this pedigree of really fantastic writers on the show.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's why it's so successful as a show, because, like you said, James Wong is one of the people who's writing for the show.
Yeah.
This season, how many episodes on the show are you on? Can you say? Is that...
I can't say.
Of what you've done so far, you've really enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just, it's still, as hokey as it sounds, and it does sound hokey, it feels like a dream. It doesn't feel like that happened. How could that possibly have happened?
What has kind of been your reaction to the fans' reaction of the new season?
There's a couple things that I find hilarious. Number one, everybody's mad because there's not a theme song, and that cracks me up. And to be honest, I always loved their little, the opening credits and like the weird, especially like Freak Show. There's like all these weird, funny looking toys and things with no heads. So it would have been fun to have that. Although I do love the music on the closing credits, and I can't remember if they changed that from other seasons, but I find it's really beautiful music. The other thing that I find funny is anytime I've gone and looked at about anything for this season, everyone's like, "Where's Evan Peters? Where's Evan Peters? I want to know where Evan Peters is. I want to know right now." And I'm like, I get it. I want to know where he is too. But it's just so funny because it could be a picture of myself and Maya, being the nurses, and people are like, "Where is Evan? We want to know where Evan is." And I'm with them.
Wow.
I am.
Where's the sexy blonde guy at? We
all love him. So I just find it so funny that it doesn't matter what's being talked about. Somebody pipes in, "Where is Evan?" And then people are trying to figure out who's Lady Gaga, and it's just so funny. And I'm like I said, I'm in the dark too. I don't know.
I think the American Horror Story fans are extremely spoiled with how big of name people and the quality of people involved with American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's one of the best things on television.
I totally agree.
The anthology aspect to it, I also think, keeps it really fresh.
Well, that's what I love, too, because I was a huge fan of Lost also, and one of my favorite things about Lost is when they would sort of circle back to a scene you've already seen and like show it from somebody else's perspective. And there's that kind of happens with this show too. It's like there's links between the seasons, and that's enough for me to be hooked in forever because I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I think that a show like American Horror Story, where it's the standalone seasons, it's also easier for a lot of people to watch.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's like what all my relatives were saying, like, "Oh, do I have to watch this whole show?" I'm like, no, you could start day one here. You don't need to know anything.
Start season 6, and you'll know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
You might not be as kind of happy to see Sarah Paulson and Kathy Bates doing stuff again together, but you'll still like it for what it is, because they worked on Coven, and I guess Kathy Bates has been in every season.
Kathy Bates. I mean, come on. She's just,
Ryan Murphy and everyone involved with that show knows how to cast people for sure.
Yeah. She is just, I'm like, I've loved her for so long. And that's what I love about, I feel like it's happening with TV in the last few years, is these amazing people are coming back to it or coming to it for the first time, these amazing actors. And I consider, everyone on this show to be in that group. And people that used to only do movies are now creating amazing television. I mean, this show and like House of Cards blows me away all the time. And the caliber of, people on that is just remarkable. Because I never thought of, Kevin Spacey and Robin Wright as TV actors, but prestige television is really changing everything. And I just absolutely love it.
TV is really the medium of
it absolutely is. And it was not that way a few years ago. It was like, I like to watch movies. Movies are so much more artistic or whatever. And now it's TV's really reclaimed that in some ways. And what I love is that you get to stay with your favorite characters for so long. I mean, I loved Mulder and Scully, and so getting to be with them for 9 years was fantastic for me. And I would have spent another 10 years with them.
And who knows, you may get to. You really, as long as it keeps being one of the top things that Fox aired last year, I don't think they'll stop, as long as they're willing and able.
I will watch them until they are old and gray. I just will.
TV kind of being the big medium now, and kind of with this TV resurgence, has it really gotten you more excited to work in TV?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It used to be like I really felt like actors kind of made that dividing line of I want to do this or I want to do this. Now it's just like, no. Like I said, I'm still shocked that American Horror Story happened for me. And it's just so amazing. I would love to do American Crime Story. I'm like, hey Ryan, do you remember me? You know, I'm one of the creepy nurses. I'm available because I would love to keep working with that group. And there's just so many TV shows recently. I love BBC stuff. I would have loved to have been on Downton Abbey. You know, and again, it's because you get to stay with your favorite people for so long and live life with them. As pathetic as that sounds, like
serialized nature of TV is, I think, it's more appealing for people who watch and obviously actors because you know you get to really approach the characters in a much deeper way.
Absolutely, and it's just like I feel like for me, one of the first shows that I watched that. X-Files had their serialized elements, but like Breaking Bad as a whole was it was never episodic, and I loved that about it. It's like, yeah, you do have to go back to day one of Breaking Bad, but the journey that you get to take is pretty amazing. And that show, I think, ended better than any show ever. I just absolutely, the arc of that story was so brilliant.
Well, it's refreshing to see a show actually end.
Yes, yeah. And people be like, coming back for another season. I'm like, don't you dare. I mean, I love that they have Better Call Saul. That's really fun. But, yeah.
It's not Breaking Bad season 9 or 10 or whatever it is.
Yeah. It's Vince Gilligan. There's X-Files Easter eggs. I'm telling you, they exist in the show. And I freaked out every time I saw one. I know.
That's the thing is, you know, a lot of the people who worked for X-Files have gone on to make really great TV afterwards.
Yeah, I'm also a big fan of Man in the High Castle, which is Frank Spotnitz. I absolutely love that.
You know, the only person who kind of, this is not a knock at him, but the only person who hasn't had a good time creating other shows has been Chris Carter.
Well, it's like he struck gold, you know, and then I don't know.
Speaking of movies, a film that you're in that's coming out later this year is The Space Between Us.
Uh-huh.
And you work with Gary Oldman.
I did.
On the film. What was that like working with Gary Oldman and working on that film?
He's just such a lovely human being. He just kind of like operates on his own level. And I'm always inspired when I'm around people like that because there's just this sense of whimsicality, I guess, if that's a word, about him. And I just really enjoyed sort of being in his presence and watching him do his thing. And
in the film, kind of what is your character's interaction with his character?
I'm his maid, so it's kind of fun just or like I guess the housekeeper, you know, like
right.
There's a sense of like making sure that he has everything and caring for all of his needs and sort of keeping people out that shouldn't be there and that kind of thing. A protective kind of element.
So that film comes out December.
I also have Gold coming out that month, and I got to work with Matthew McConaughey, and that was pretty fantastic. I was really impressed by him. He was not what I thought.
In what respects was Matthew McConaughey not like what you thought?
He was pretty method that day. Like he was introduced himself as his character, and I was like, okay, this is what we're doing, you know. And I that again is like it really draws you as the other actor into what you're doing and like ups your commitment level.
He was pretty method the day that you met him.
And just very serious and dedicated to what he was doing, and I just love that.
Yeah, you know the phrase that's kind of been used recently is he's had a McConaughey-sense.
Kind of have to play to whatever you are, and then hopefully, eventually, you get enough respect to where people start letting you play the things that you want to, you know. So he did very well of playing what he was, and now he's getting to play all these amazing things and really blowing people's minds, I think. But he's still Matthew McConaughey, you know, like he looks very different in this movie, but still I would find myself when he's, you know, talking to me. It's like I still see that, you know, but that's what you have to do. There has to be you in every role. It's just what are the other things that you're bringing out?
Did you get to like interact with him as like just Matthew McConaughey the person?
I mean, at the end of the day, a little bit.
So is he like what I think a lot of people think he's like, where he's just like kind of laid back and?
I mean, yeah, I would say so. There's definitely there's a very charming, laid back, charismatic vibe to him. Well, and I don't know if you've seen this, but he has there's pictures of him on the internet wearing an all right hat. And I thought I was going to bust a gut laughing the first time I saw that. He just I think he knows who he is. And anytime you're around people who just accept who they are, what they are, it's very comforting. It makes you feel like you can be that too, or you can be your best version of yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like him owning that is, I think, hilarious.
Well, and when you own it, you spend less time fighting it as well.
Yeah, you don't need to fight it.
Along with Gold and The Space Between Us, you also worked on The Garden. But tell me a little bit of what it was like working on that film.
That's a film that my friends and I have put together, a feature. It's our first feature, and it's a very Terrence Malick-y sort of look into just the kind of hopes and dreams that a woman has about her life and her future, and some of the letdowns, and what do you do with that, and how do you deal with it, and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm. And so it was shot in Albuquerque, where you spend a lot of your time. What's kind of the film landscape like in New Mexico? Are a lot of studios coming out there to film? Is that kind of helping that industry out there? Is it kind of?
For sure. I've been working in film there for about 10 years now, and it's not as big as Atlanta, but I think New Mexico is kind of one of the first places that sort of popped up with film incentives and started drawing studios there. And it's nice because it's only an hour and a half flight from LA, and a great place to do Westerns. So we used to only get Westerns, and then we started branching out into other things. But it's certainly been great for the people who live there, and I owe so much of my resume to what's going on there.
And that film, The Garden, when is that? Is that coming out later this year as well?
Yes, they're just finishing coloring it, and then we'll see. Try to do the festival circuit or what have you. So
working on an independent film versus a big budget film, or even big budget TV like American Horror Story, how do you kind of switch gears when you approach each of the projects differently as an actor?
It's interesting because, like doing independent film, a lot of time you're doing it with your friends, and so they know your strengths and all that. And there's good things about that and bad things too, because, when you get in a new pond, it's like that's when you really grow. But at the same time, like, you have the safeties when you're working with friends to kind of try things. And so like both things have been really good to me. I learned so much from making shorts and stuff with my friends. One of my friends, Alejandro Montoya, he put me in a lot of his shorts, so we worked together a lot. And working on those things really informed my character decisions, specifically for American Horror Story, and also for Villa Capri, which is another movie I just did. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. And there's things like when you're doing your own shorts, you're usually the lead. And so you learn about what pressures are on the people who are carrying the weight of the whole film. And it definitely so doing my own things and then going and working with Matthew McConaughey, I realized I need to do everything I can to support him. And that probably means just shutting up and minding my own business. You know what I mean? As opposed to like bugging him because I want a picture with him or whatever. Because they have a job to do and there's so much on their shoulders. And I really appreciate that I've been able to see that. I love getting to act with some of my best friends too. I mean, that's such a great treat. And we always talk about that when we do projects together. Like, I love working on big sets and all that stuff, but there's also something so special about acting with people with whom you already have chemistry. And it's just really amazing. And that you can trust to like try new things with.
Well, other than, American Horror Story, which is still airing, Gold is coming out later this year. Space Between Us is coming out later this year. And the independent feature, The Garden's coming out later this year. Are you working on anything else?
I'm not right now. I'm kind of in that in-between phase, which, I usually start writing or, doing something else to keep those creative juices flowing. Or I find some weird little nugget of history that I'm going to investigate really intensely, and that keeps my creative juices flowing. So yeah, and you know, actors are always trying to get work and do the next thing. I don't have. So yeah, that's you just keep moving. You know, it's that thing of like an object at rest will stay at rest until, you know, something. It's like just keep moving, because it seems like things come along when you do that.
Big thanks to Kristin Rakes for the awesome interview. Always great to find a fellow X-Files fan who is as passionate about that show as I am, along with getting to talk about another great show, American Horror Story, which if you haven't seen it before, definitely check it out. It is one of the best shows on television. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Kulturestash. And if you like what you're hearing now, or you want to hear us jaw about movies, head on over to Kultureshock.com/Kulturecast to hear me and my co-host Sean talk about movies. We also have interviews on those podcasts with people that are in the movies we're talking about. We are also on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and all podcast apps, both iOS and Android. Patreon.com/culture_shocked is where you can kick a couple dollars our way to help us keep the lights on at 0069 Culture Shocked Tower. Every little bit helps. And the intro-outro music is provided by our good friends over at Wavoka. And that song that you're hearing is Lament off of their first album, Saros, S-A-R-O-S. You can buy that album and check them out over at wavoka.bandcamp.com. And as always, make sure to check out the next edition of One on One With.